Welcome everyone, I'm Nicole and I will be your host for tonight's episode of Live and Unfiltered. And I have joining me, of course.
I'm shanellealaine, your co-host for tonight.
All right, so we're going to just hop in. So we're going to talk about a little bit of everything. I do want to start with the hot topics first. I know sometimes we say that for last, but I want to just get into those first. But before we do, are you sipping on anything? Probably water.
I have a little bit. I was going to drink water, but I just finished a bottle. I have a little bit of Fanta. Nothing crazy.
So the first topic, this was not too long ago. TikTok went dark. I just want to know, like, what were your thoughts when that happened? And then I'll move into the second part of the question. But just what were your thoughts about that?
When TikTok went dark?
I
be on TikTok a little bit here and there. So it's kind of like when I'm bored, I pop into TikTok. And then when I'm, if I'm busy and stuff like that, I don't really be on TikTok. So for me, it affected me a little bit because I felt like I was considering the fact that people do make money on there, and a lot of people are entrepreneurs. So it is going to affect other people. And yes, I may not use it all the time, but it does affect me because when I do want to get on there and get a quick, laugh in or something like that, it's not there. Like you get on Instagram and everything on Instagram is a little bit more serious, a little bit more like curated for, your audience. And TikTok is like you post something stupid, it might go viral, but it might cheer someone up. So the freedom of having that and quick and access for TikTok, I felt like definitely would have affected me to some extent. Now, can I live without TikTok? Yes. But again, it's like the thought of like, okay, going on the app just for something to cheer you up. So I don't know. I just feel like that's taking away and stopping a lot of people's bags. And I'm not okay with that part because I feel like, this is a day and age where you do need to have a side hustle going on or a second income or having something to fall back on when the government can't help you. So I feel like it's just a way of control and having people conform to what you want them to conform to. Like, okay, go back to the working force. A lot of people, had kids and they already have their life set up where they have more freedom to do what they do and get paid while doing something they love. So why force someone out of that comfort zone that they've had for so many years since 2020, 2021 when the pandemic happened. So now people have learned how to finesse the system and make some coins, and now the government is like, oh no, we're going to control that. So what I would say does have an effect more so on people who use it every day. Me, it would affect me because I just go on there for laughs and I wouldn't be able to do that. So that's my thoughts on TikTok.
Yeah, I don't even have TikTok. So TikTok per se didn't affect me. However, I use CapCut and it's like, that's the parent company. So CapCut is the editing app, which some people are like, that's just editing. Like, why are y'all taking away an editing app? Like, editing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just crazy. So that affected me because that's what I used to edit, like my content, YouTube, Reels, Shorts. And when that left, it just forced me to. And I was one of those people, I immediately just deleted the app. I'm so stupid. It's actually a very small community of us. We deleted our TikToks, CapCuts, whatever, as soon as the news. Because it's like, why is it taking up space? I needed my space too. So I immediately deleted it just for it to come back. And I was like, oh shit. Like, it's not in the app store. So it can for you as long as you still have the app. Which, by the way, is temporary.
I would say too, sis, to add on to what you said before you move on. I feel like, I guess they say Lemonade, CapCut, TikTok, and something else are all under the same whatever company it is. So it's almost like if one go, all of them go. And I feel like it is a little inconsiderate because if the whole point of it is to kind of control TikTok, then, you should have separated both or whatever the case is. But I understand it's like the company itself is what they're trying to get rid of. America's trying to own it. So I feel like, yes, I will agree with you. It did affect when it came to editing. Now, TikTok didn't affect me too much, but like you said, CapCut does because that's the majority of our editing software. It's one of the better ones. It's easy to use, beginner friendly. So I just feel like it's limiting us by taking that away. And again, it goes back to control. Also, I wanted to add, yes, it is temporary back, so you are right. It's time to start learning a new app. I know you're getting into that. So yeah, it does force us to step out of comfort zone. If you can't figure it out, you're gonna have to pivot and download something else. But you were a little too quick with them little Twitter fingers.
Listen, I was quick with it, y'all. We are gonna get into Target for anybody that came in because they want to hear about Target. We're gonna get into Target, but we're talking about TikTok for a second. But yeah, I was way too happy. I was not happy. I was just like, well, let me get me some space back because takes up a lot of space. You know that.
Yeah,
I
it
miss
does.
MySpace.
It
Hmm.
does.
I kind of regret it though, but not really because I did learn a new app. I still prefer CapCut,
Right.
but in the event they don't formulate a deal that brings TikTok back permanently, because y'all do know, what is it, a 60 or 90-day
I
extension?
think it
Which
was
one is it?
75 days as well.
5 day extension. So after those 75 days, then it will be no more like permanently. And Trump was talking about the US having like 50% ownership. What do you think would happen if that were to happen? Like, what do you think that would TikTok still be TikTok, or what would
Um,
you think?
well, I seen a lot of investors coming out, like Mr. Beast came out, Elon Musk,
And
like a
they
few of them came out. I feel like if Mr. Beast was to contribute to that, it would be fine because he's cool, he's very
yeah,
dramatic, he's with the shits, it's fun. And I feel like if Elon was to do it, it's almost like, again, it goes back to dictatorship, it goes back to control, it goes back
they
to you know
but
right, right, right,
yeah,
right, right. So I feel like it just depends on who would have that 50% of interest. Is if it's left up to people who are power hungry, I feel like it'll just be like, I don't want to say like Instagram, because Instagram can be fun and Instagram is fun, but I feel like it'll be more like micromanaged to the point like it's taking the fun out of what TikTok is. You get on there and again it's like someone just make you laugh in 10 seconds. On Instagram you might gotta scroll a few times to find someone that's funny or something that's relatable. With TikTok you get on there and you scroll for hours and it's like they're only pushing content that is relating to what you're watching or is relating to what you're searching. So I feel like it's a little bit more easier on TikTok and more control on Instagram and Facebook and all that, but it just depends on who would be a part of that ownership. Now, again, if it's up to y'all president and if it's up to
they
Elon Musk, no,
press, yeah.
their president, yeah.
We right here with it.
If it's up to America's president,
Yeah,
then no. I feel like if he has control of it, oh, TikTok is over for. I wouldn't even want to go on there at this point. So I
yeah.
just feel like it just depends on who decides to invest. If someone that does have a fun, characteristic type of, mentality and to keep what's already going on, sure, invest that 50%. But if it's left to people that are more like this is how I think it should go and my way only, I don't think it would be fun anymore. I think it'll take that away. People would dread. It's almost like showing up to a job you don't want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too it's gonna be super
Yeah.
filtered. Like it's just not gonna be as funny. Like
Mm.
you may not even have access to some of the funny people that you want if they international. I don't know. I just feel like it's gonna be super duper
Right.
filtered and watered down at that point. So
Mm-hmm. I
definitely
agree.
see it. All right. All right. So now moving on to Target, Walmart, and
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Okay. And them. So
Oh,
what
over it.
thought,
Over it. Over it. All
don't be
right. Go
over.
ahead.
Just bear with me.
I'm trying.
All right. So what are your thoughts when you heard about them rolling back some of their DEI initiatives, which, if no one knows what that stands for, stands for diversity, equity, and what is it? Inclusion, basically. So
Yeah.
basically, they're not going to prioritize those things anymore since it's not really
Mm-hmm.
enforced. And all of us people, we was like, hold up now. What you mean? And instantly was like, nope, we're not shopping with them anymore. Let's stay together. They're gonna realize that our dollar is valued, and our people are valued, and da da da. So, what are your thoughts on that? Like, are you still shopping? Are you on a boycott
Um,
train?
I mean, at this point, I feel like if they had like Kroger or something else that was like Whole Foods and all those that were down here, and I had more options when it came to shopping for food, I would do that. But honey, everywhere you turn, there's a Walmart. What am I gonna do? Stand outside and be like, I'm not buying because y'all don't want to include me? No, I have to eat. So I feel like you just gotta pick and choose. Like, I mean, when it comes to if you have other options to, I guess you could say, diverge to go somewhere else, I would say yes. Like, for example, if you want, I mean, Target isn't necessarily against it. They just, whatever. They're trying to reword it so it does include us, but doesn't say DEI. So I feel like if you know for a fact, okay, I want to get makeup or whatever the case is, and I want to go to Target. Okay, don't support. If you don't want to support Target, then don't go to Sephora, go to Ulta, or go to someone else that has similar products of what you're looking for,
Mm-hmm.
and it would kind of suffice. Like you're not technically supporting this particular store, but you're still getting the products you need. But for example, like I said, if there was Kroger or there was something else other than Walmart that had similar products and produce, then of course you would support that. But when you're left to like Walmart every corner, what are you gonna do? Just not eat because you're boycotting? Like I feel like you just gotta. It's almost like you gotta pick and choose your battle. Like there's some that make sense and some that don't. Like I said, if you can avoid Target, sure, go somewhere else and get the products you need. But when it comes to food and stuff, Wally, here I come because I mean I don't have enough. I mean, it's not, it's like if it makes sense, it makes sense. Like okay, I might could do, if not Walmart, I might could do Aldi's, or I might could do Publix. Yes, you can, but it's like you're also thinking about cost efficient for yourself. You're also thinking about Walmart mass produce a lot. So it's like a lot of times they're out of something, boom, by the next morning they're in stock.
Right.
You might go to Aldi's and it's like, oh, we don't get a truck till like 3-4 days out. Now you have to come back. You know what I'm saying? So convenience is at Walmart. It might not be somewhere else. So you have to think about the pros and the cons of what you're willing to deal with and what you don't want to deal with. But I feel like it's up to anybody who decides to boycott. Just make sure you got your food on deck and figure out how you're going to eat. That's just my concern. Like figure out what you're going to do to pivot from what you're facing right now. So that's just my thoughts on that. Am I in agreement with boycotting? Sure. But I need to know where my other source of food is coming from.
You got
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I agree with that, sis. Y'all feel free to chime in. We're asking, or we're talking about boycotting Target and Walmart. So what are y'all thoughts? Are y'all boycotting? Are y'all still going to shop because you ain't got no choice? What's up? So now that I received the request, no, I'm not. Oh, no, I'm not adding anybody to the live. But okay, so my thoughts on this is I agree with you. I feel like it just has to make sense for me. Like, I feel like old habits die hard. I'm not,
right.
I can't just wake up the next morning and be like, all right, no more Walmart for me. Now, Target, I don't really shop there, but maybe holidays and for certain items that I could probably get at Walmart or Dollar Tree or whatever. So Target is not really a big thing for me because I don't go there often. Now, for people who do go there often, that may be harder for them to just like cold turkey, just stop going when that was really their life. Like I know people who literally would go to Target every week just for the heck of it, just because it's a peaceful environment and they just stroll and they say Target will tell them what they need to buy. Like literally that's how they operate. So I find it difficult if you really just gonna cold turkey it. For me, like I said, Target's not really a problem. Like I don't really go there often, but Walmart, I go inside Walmart. Like the bougie people go inside Target. So it's a little bit more difficult for me to just, and like you said, they're at every corner. It's just way more, convenience. It's hard for me to just cold turkey cut them off. They also say Amazon too, so I heard Amazon was in it too.
Oh, baby, when I tell you,
that's hard.
Every little thing, I be like, 2-day shipping, is that you?
They are major retailers, and it's like I understand. Like you say, I'm with anyone that's able to boycott. Like yes, if I got a good replacement that I'm comfortable with, like sure. But you can't expect me to cold turkey boycott. Like we have to be realistic here. Like you said, this is how we're feeding ourselves, feeding our families. You have to be realistic. Like give us some of the options, and some of the options they're presenting, we don't have that everywhere. It's not a global thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the chains they're trying to boycott is global, so it's kind of difficult to get around that. But yeah, I mean, stick to what you believe in. If you believe you need to boycott for whatever reason, like go ahead and do that. I'm not telling no one not, but I just know for me, it's just not realistic. It's really not. Do I agree with what they're doing and, not really trying to prioritize diversity anymore in the workplace? No, I don't agree with that. At the same time, it got to make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to kind of choose your battles. And like you said, I don't have no other options yet.
If there was other options that were similar and more affordable, then it would make sense logically to be like, okay, I'm going to shift. Like I know Costco, for example, is one, but I feel like Costco is in comparison to like BJ's. It's in comparison to like, buying things in bulk. If you don't, Right. If you don't
Yeah.
necessarily buy things in bulk, I feel like that's where Walmart comes in. That's where Publix comes in. That's where, like, a lot of the stores, like, for example, like CVS's that are closing, Walgreens that are closing, like, that's where those smaller franchise, I guess you could say, come in place. So
Mm-hmm.
if they're already closing and you're telling us, like, okay, these specific stores, companies, franchises are no longer participating in the DEI, it's kind of like, what can I do to show that I care, but still also be mindful, like you said, you still have priorities. You got to take care of your family, take care of yourself. You got to do what you got to do. You can't just, yes, there's certain morals and principles you got to stand on, and I agree with that. But it's like, if you have a replacement, that's when I feel like that might come in play. But again, if you're in a small town or a small area where it's like, I don't have another option, I don't have another choice, it's like, spend way more money on groceries because you're
Mm-hmm.
supporting another brand, and you can't afford it, or spend money where you can afford it, go in, keep your head down, get what you're getting, and come out until things
Yeah.
change. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't going to last forever. You know, it's not going to last forever. It's a 4-year term. So it's give or take. Deal with it for like a little, maybe 3-4 years, whatever the situation is, and move on. So it's not going to last forever, but it's almost like we just have to deal with it in the moment. And you just got to make the best of it, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people are just kind of like taken aback because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, now they're showing their true colors.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So I get it, but like I said, it's just like if you don't have any other options, and the other options you do have is a little more costly. When you have the means to pivot and go with the more expensive options, do that. But a lot of us can't. Like we're doing the more cost efficient options at the moment, and it may just be these stores. So that's my take on that. And also, before we move on, Tabitha Brown, I don't know if you saw, she came up with another option. She's like, okay, if you're gonna boycott, boycott, but at least come and like support at least the black
Yeah.
uh
I had
businesses.
seen the headline of it. I didn't really click on it too much, but I did see that surfacing around a lot as well. People
Yeah,
saying just go in there and support certain brands and certain companies. But it's almost like, yeah, that is a way to support it to some extent. But it's like, let's say you go in the store and you might not know, not all brands are labeled with faces and everything like that. It's like, you're gonna have to take time to do your research. You're gonna have to make sure you are supporting specific brands. And
that's a lot.
again, with that going in, price gouging is gonna go up, because again, they're like, oh, well, since we're no longer part of DEI, they might just price gouge on the things that they know you will buy to support it. So there's all kind of things I feel like that come into play when it comes to that. It's a lot.
It is
I
a
feel
lot.
for sure.
And it's was like, you know how that go. You get to what is it, strolling, and you're gonna end up picking up something else that may not be black owned, and you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, if you gonna shop, just shop. Like,
Right.
I don't know. It's called targeted shopping. I'm not against it. I guess for people who are like trying to boycott for real, I guess that's the way to support the black owners. But baby, I ain't even much gonna lie. I'm just gonna go and shop. That's what I've been doing. All right.
Have to shop and mind your business at this point. Just get what you can get. Just get out quickly.
And most of the workers are black. You know what I'm saying? So I
Right.
feel good that I'm well in my Walmart. Not everybody Walmart is the same,
Yeah.
but in my like most of the workers are black. So like I'm putting money in their paychecks. That's how I pay.
Right.
But yeah, all right. Moving into our other topics that are not current events.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about single parenthood for a second. So do you feel a single parent can effectively raise a child that's of the opposite sex? So a woman raising a male and a man raising a girl.
A
Like, do you
daughter.
effectively raise their child that's of the
Um,
opposite sex?
I feel like yes and no. I feel like a woman can't really teach a man how to be a man, like a boy how to be a man. I feel like a man can't teach a girl how to be a woman because they're opposite sex, so they're gonna operate differently. They're not gonna have the same behaviors in certain situations, like So I feel like no, in that sense, where we're of opposite sex, so you can't really teach someone to be something that you're not. that's that. Now, I feel like, yes, to some extent, you can instill morals, you can instill values, you can instill principles, you can instill stuff that you're brought up on. So there's still some type of foundation where your kid can still be brought up in a single dad household, single mom household, where they understand the differences, they understand what respect is, they understand what rules are. Like, they still have some type of discipline. They grew up as a good kid. Like, they know what to do and what not to do. You know, stay out of trouble. You know, basically essential ways to function through life. They know that. But that's the yes part of it. And then the no part of it, like I said, you can't raise, me personally, I don't think you can raise someone of the opposite sex and expect them to operate how you do. Now, if it's a male raising a son, that makes sense. He's instilling what he learned, and the child is looking at him as a father figure because, again, he is the same thing. A mom raising a daughter, same thing. You can instill certain values in her because you have already been through it. You know what it is. But as a lot of dads that are single dads that are raising girls are doing a good job. So they can, again, lay a foundation, but they still can't talk to them about, you know, their monthly. They can't, you know, sometimes relate to their emotions when they are, you know, feeling some kind of way, and when they want to do, you know, maybe like play dates with makeup and, you know, like some dads participate, but a lot of dads is kind of like, all right, I'm gonna drop you off at this friend's house, deal with it, come home. So it's like there's a disconnect when it comes to having opposite sex as a parent, as it's, well, opposite single, how I say it, single parent household. So those are my take on it. Can it be done? Yes. Does it happen often? Yes. But ideally, you would want, you know, the parent raising the correct sex of the child. Like, if you're a boy and you have a dad, that just makes sense. If you're a girl and you have a mom, that just makes sense. Now, again, when it flips and it's a dad and a girl, there's just certain standards. I feel like some things can be taught and learned, and just some things can't. It's just a boundaries type thing. And when it comes to a mom raising a son, yes, you can instill certain things in him, but you really still can't. You can teach him how to respect women, but you can't really teach him how to be a man. Does that make sense? All right, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like you said, you can lay the foundation, but when it comes to certain things that pertain to that gender
Mm-hmm.
specifically, really teach something that you don't go through or you've never experienced. I feel like it's also important. That's why it's important to have a village and to have, if you're a man, have motherly figures in that child's life so that they can kind of pick up on the areas that you aren't able to teach your child. You know, so aunts, cousins, whoever, you know, to help with that and vice versa. Now, I think it's important really to have both parents, period, for this reason, you know. But in this situation where you ain't got no choice, you know, just trying to find a village that can help you, but definitely laying the solid foundation. That's probably one of the most important parts anyway,
I
just
agree.
instilling principles. Like the other stuff, you can get somebody to help you with that, you know, but laying down that foundation is more important, so you can absolutely raise your son, raise your daughter, and be of opposite gender, and they turn out to be magnificent, you know, just by the fact of you being able to lay that proper foundation. So that's my take on that. So we both agree, yes, it can be done.
To some extent,
I doing
yeah.
it. You might need to call in, phone a friend,
Yep.
but
Phone a
when,
friend is crazy, but okay.
because when it comes to, you know, Mother Nature, that's
That's
a big one. Like,
true.
come
Yeah.
on, these men,
That is a
you know that
whole
they be freaking.
conversation.
He don't know nothing about that.
They don't.
Yeah,
Don't.
so he
They
gonna
can
have to
Google something, but they still can't teach you what to do.
at all. They gonna be like,
Mm-hmm.
stopping people in the store, ma'am. The dog. It'd be so awkward. So, and I know that happens in real life
Uh,
too, and it's probably so sweet because it's like, oh, you wish you could kind of like, you know, go meet up with a daughter and like really like teach her
right.
for real, but you know, stranger danger.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. So we're gonna move on to the last and final topic. Let's stay on the topic of family.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a little bit. So we hear some of these common phrases such as family is family, you only get one, blood is thicker than water, and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. So how do you personally feel about cutting off family members? It can be one family member or multiple.
How do
If you think it's right.
I feel about cutting off family members?
No, finish the question.
Oh, my bad. My bad. I thought that was a question. Oops,
No,
sorry.
no.
My bad.
do you feel like there are any instances where it's appropriate to do so, or it's like, yeah, no, I'm not, that's my family in Morocco
Okay.
until the end?
Okay, so I feel like I actually recently watched a video, and it's funny because the video was titled "When You See This." It was titled "When You See This, It's a Perfect Timing to Show You from God," or something along the lines of that. Like basically, when you watch the video, because God wants you to see it at that time.
Okay.
Long story short, okay. So I watched the video, and it was actually talking about that, like certain times in life as you grow and excel, yes, you might have to cut off some friends, you might gain some new friends, so it's the same thing. I feel like that applies to family members. There's family members that are around you sometimes that is just dead weight, like they depend on you to do something, they depend on you for everything. And then there's family members that's like, okay, you know what, if we have some type of family gathering or something going on, they're willing to jump in, they're willing to contribute, they're willing to provide feedback, or even pay for certain things and be a part of it. So I feel like a lot of times you have to apply the same technique sometimes to your family as you do your friends. Like if you outgrow your friends, sometimes you can outgrow family. They're still people. Yes, they're still related. But there's certain times where like you can have a family member that either uplifts you and adds to your life, or takes from you and bring you down. And if someone's constantly draining your energy, someone's constantly bringing you down, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be around that person, family or not. Blood, water, oil, vinegar, it don't matter
Right.
what y'all want to say. At the end of the day, it's like you got to make sure you're prioritizing yourself first, and then make sure you're good mentally in order to deal with everything else around you. So I have, me personally, I've cut off family members. I have, because I felt like I've gotten to the point where I've given so many chances, and I've expressed like where I'm coming from so many times that it was disregarded. So it wasn't like I got up one day and was just like, well, I'm not going to talk to my cousin no more. No, it wasn't like that. But it was almost like, hey, this is how I feel. And it was kind of like, all right, I got it. But then you continue to do the
Right.
same thing over and over. And it was just
Yeah.
like, I just felt like we just needed a break from ourselves, just a break, from each other. And then you can come back and maybe talk about it in the future. And that's what happened. Like, we just took a break from each other for years and never spoke to each other, in my situation with my cousin. And then it's like, one day we just kind of talk about it. We just moved on from it. And we're like, okay, at this point, we've already matured. We've had time to get over it. So now it's we communicate. Now we check in each other. We talk to each other. It's different. So it also depends, too, on your level of maturity. Like I said, if your family member isn't, you've expressed how you felt and they still disregarding it, they might be dealing with a lot in their life at that time too, and it's just not the right time for y'all to connect as much. You may go around your family and hang out during family gatherings, and that's it. You may not try to hang out with the cousin all the time. So I feel like there's healthy boundaries to be set, but before you cut somebody off, I feel like you should express like, hey, these are my concerns, these are my issues, this is where I'm coming from. At least give them a chance to fix what the issue is and fix what the problem is. And then if you continuously see a pattern where they don't want to fix it, then that's up to you if you want to proceed with that or not. And I understand at the end of the day, it is your cousin, it is your, brother, your sister, whatever the case is. But there's times you could cut them off, and not permanently, but you make us say, okay, I'm gonna give them a few months to get their life together, and then maybe we can revisit the situation and check in and see how the person is mentally, physically, make sure we're on the same page. Are we able to communicate? Because I feel like a lot of times it's just a fact of, you guys are on different levels where, again, someone might be more emotionally mature and the other person just isn't. And it kind of, interferes in a sense where like you're expressing, they're not understanding, they're expressing, you're not understanding, you're dealing with your own life, they're dealing with their own life, they have their own problems. So I feel like sometimes it's just a lack of communication. But as long as you've laid the foundation to be like, hey, this is how I feel, let me know how you feel, we can work past it, cool. But if you realize that, oh, this ain't getting no better, it might just be time to just take a step back and reevaluate.
Yeah, I agree. I strongly believe in loving people from a distance. Like you say, and what we probably see more so than not are people just taking a break from certain family members, and then, like you say, going back, checking the temperature. Okay, have they
Right.
matured? Listen, did they grow? No. Okay, well, now it's time to like see if I need to just like permanently just remove myself from this person, or and just pray for
Right.
them and just and that's just what you just have to do. I just feel like anything or anyone that disrupts your peace, or is toxic and is just not agreeing with, you know, your values and what you have going on, cut them off, family or not. You know, that's literally just with anyone, because I don't know. I ain't read nowhere where it said you can't cut off a family member. You know,
Right.
I feel like, you know, it has to make sense. Like, you
It
should
just
not,
depends. Yeah.
you know, like, just energy just thrown off every time you get around a person, or, you know, stuff like that. You don't have to tolerate that. This is your life. You could choose who in it and who not. So that's with family or anybody. But like you said, obviously give them a chance, talk to them. You know, now if they have chance after chance, I don't know how many chances you give, that's up to you. But, you know, after like one or two chances, they still with it, they have not learned, well, get the scissors and, you know,
Right.
do what you gotta do.
Right.
So
You gotta reevaluate the situation. Just make sure it makes sense for both of y'all. But
yeah.
just as I feel like as long as you express it and you know for a fact, like, hey, I put it out there, you heard me, you understand me. Now it's
Hmm.
up to you. You give them the option to choose if they want to be there. If they don't, you know.
Right.
It's a
Yeah,
fine
I
line.
recommend cold turkey it unless the situation calls for it, because there are
Uh-huh.
where you may just have to cold turkey it
True.
because a person just ain't never gonna change, or it's like talking to a brick wall, or you're never really able to get your thoughts across because they're like, some people are just super argumentative.
Mhm.
So yeah, like I understand in certain situations where it's just too toxic to even try to get a word out to them, and you just have to quietly let them
So,
do
yeah.
your thing. But for people who, like, they're a little more open minded and they can
Yeah.
understand and, you know, accept when they're wrong, then yes, you know, at least have conversations. So it honestly depends
I
on what.
also wanted to add to, sis. I know sometimes we have that mentality, like you said, where it's like, oh, you know, it's family. You can't cut them off because they're blood. And then
Mm,
it's like sometimes you do have friends that are more loyal to you than your own family.
yeah.
You know, so I feel like sometimes like there's a thin line. You know, they always say there's a thin line between love and hate. Baby, there's a thin line between family and friends because,
Very, very,
so, right,
some
sometimes your friends can be a little bit
close.
more dependable, and then it's like with your family it's always like, all right, we family. Like, for example, here's an example. Like, let's say you maybe start a business. Your friend might support you on that business and maybe buy something or whatever the case is. Your family might know about it, and then your family might be like, all right, well, that's just my cousin, I'm expecting something. It's almost like an expectation to get something free. It's an expectation like, oh, I already know you got this, I'm expecting this. It's like, oh, when you do this, when you successful, it's like a more of an expectation because we're by blood. But baby,
Hmm.
no, just like how I had to hustle and be a part of it, and a friend can support me, you should just be as much as supportive and pouring into me, because eventually you're still looking for something at the end too. So I'm like, if you're not pouring into me, what happened? I'm just supposed to keep pouring and my cup just get empty? No,
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense. So that was just a prime example of where like friends sometimes can be a little bit more loyal than certain family members, or it could be vice versa. Well, of course, you know, it's your family, they're always going to be there, but it just depends again on the scenario and the situation. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
That's very true. And also, I just feel like as we get older, a lot of times we lean on our friends a little bit more. And sometimes you might can be a little bit more distant with family, you know, and you start finding yourself like being around friends a little bit more. So they do really become the family that you created
Mm-hmm.
along the way. So I do agree. Some friends can definitely be thicker than family. So that's that. All right, we are all done with the topic, so we are going to end it off with a little quick this or that. Anybody can participate. These are all over the place. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's random.
How
They're
many you got? How many you got? I'm about
money or brains. Would you rather have the money or the brains?
money or brains. I feel like the brains, because once I got the brains, then I'll be able to make the money.
Heard.
Okay.
Agree for the same reason. Next, being no, you don't rush me, so let's keep the train rolling. Being embarrassed or being afraid? Which would you rather be, embarrassed
Being
or afraid?
embarrassed or being afraid.
Mm,
I feel like I'd rather be embarrassed, because I feel like if I'm embarrassed, those people probably never ever see me again. So it's just a moment, a little moment. But I feel like being afraid, I would never face my fears enough to accomplish my goals or my dreams, because I'll constantly reroute my mind to think like, okay, I'm afraid of doing this, I'm just never gonna do it. But I'd rather just listen, walk in some hills and trip. That's fine, baby. You're never gonna see me again. That's an embarrassment. But you
mm-hmm.
grow from that and you just learn, okay, maybe these heels just ain't for me. Let me go lower. You know, you learn from that. But if you're just too afraid to embark on a journey or try something, I feel like you just would never know what your strengths and your weaknesses are, because you never actually took the chance to learn yourself. So that's my reasoning.
All right, very long. We're gonna move on. I also agree. I'd rather just be embarrassed. It's just one little moment. Just back up and keep it rolling. All right. Saturday or Sunday? Which weekend do you like the most? Saturday or Sunday?
I feel like Saturday. I know the whole logic behind keep the Sabbath holy. That's fine,
Oh,
but Sunday is for church and Saturday is for fun. I don't know. That's just how I read. Saturday you have fun. You get together by Sunday for
uh-huh.
church.
Yep.
That's just that.
Agree. I like Saturday. I love
Mm.
Sabbath days
Something
where
about Saturday feel like you just need to be home, relax, or just having fun, and something about Sunday means you just need to be serious with God. I don't know.
Sunday
It's just
it gives like, all right, Monday is quickly approaching, weekend almost
right.
over. So I just be in panic mode, like, oh my gosh, let me get myself together for the week coming up. It's just you're supposed to relax on Sunday, but it'd be a mixture of relaxing, like, let me
Go to
get myself
church.
for the week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Saturday have fun. Lose sleep or skip a meal. That's the last one. Lose. Would you rather?
Sleep or girl, the way I lose sleep is crazy. I'm gonna just have to lose sleep.
You ain't skip.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
I lose sleep anyways. I mean, I pull all nighters in a heartbeat. So
Oh.
I know. Then again, too, it's like I might eat breakfast and don't even eat again till dinner. So I feel like that's just hard. It just okay for the meal part. It would depend on the day that I'm having. Cause there's some
Which
days I might want all three
rather do?
meals.
Let's just say that. Which would you rather do? Because you do both. So which would you rather do?
What would I rather do? Dang. I'm like, I could, because there's times I eat breakfast, skip lunch, eat dinner, and then it's like lose sleep, not do. I actually would rather get more sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather get more sleep. But I would put all nighters all the time and all that. But I would rather get more sleep, and I wouldn't mind skipping a little breakfast or lunch. Again, it just depends on the day. There's some days I might want all three meals, and I'll give up that sleep. Just depends. Okay, in this scenario, I'm gonna say more sleep, and I give up the meal. Let's just do that.
Okay. Yes, I agree. I think we don't agreed on everything here. So I skip meals anyway.
Right.
Sleep. Lately, I've been actually going to bed before 12, which is a big thing for
That's
me. Not tonight,
good.
but lately I've been going to bed before 12, so that's pretty good. So I'd rather have my sleep. You wake up, you're more, I don't know, you have more energy. You could be a little bit more productive. You also can effectively lose weight if you get enough sleep. I heard so. It's just a lot
Um,
getting
I
enough
feel
rest.
like I don't know, so because if you don't get enough sleep, you'll lose weight too.
That's if you stressed out and all of that.
If
That
your
is other
body,
factors.
if your body isn't getting, like, for example, if you get like if I get 8 hours of sleep, right, and I know this applies to some people, not everybody. If I get a full 8 hours of sleep, I'm tired as heck when I get up. I get 5 hours of sleep. I get up energized. It's the craziest thing, but that's just how our body works. Like I
Yeah,
could be dead tired the night before, but I get less sleep and I'm energized. So I guess it just depends on your body. It depends on your diet. It depends on everything, I
it
guess.
depends on a lot of factors,
Yeah.
but I do feel like at least getting 6 hours is good. I don't feel like everybody needs 8 hours. I
Right.
don't think to everybody. So that could factor into maybe you technically don't need a whole 8 hours,
Yeah.
but some people do. So it really just depends. All right.
So, yeah.
That is the end of this week's episode of Live and Unfiltered. Make sure to tune in next week on Chanel's page. If you're not following, click the drop down arrow and follow her. Follow our podcast page as well here on IG. It's called Live, Live, and Unfiltered. Check on our YouTube page. It's also called Live and Unfiltered for this full live. If you missed any parts of it, we talked about a little bit of everything. Should we boycott Target? We talked about TikTok and it going dark and like the future of TikTok and all of that. We just got into a lot of things. Is it okay to cut off a family member if you got to? Just a whole lot. So if you want to see all that, check the YouTube page. It'll be out later this week. And that's it. I'm done and I'm out. Have a good night.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.